the best freelancing jobs for entry level or low skill folks. Maybe I have piqued your interest about freelancing, but you are not sure what you can do as a freelancer. You feel like you don't have a lot of skills, which is likely not true. You probably have a lot of skills. Or you just don't know, like from an entry level perspective, like where can I get started with freelancing? You're in luck because in this video, I'm going to give you 10 of the best freelancing jobs for beginners, or people who are entry level, or people with low skills. I say that with a quotation because I really don't believe you have low skills, but whatever, let's get into it. Before we get into the details of this video, let me introduce myself. My name is Libria Jones, also known as the Remote Work Queen. I consider myself a life-work balance advocate because the living part comes first. I share a lot of resources and information that can help you lean into living and design your work around your life. So I talk about remote work, I talk about travel, and I also share a weekly vlog where you get random information from me. So I'm not one of the beauty girlies. I'm not one of the beauty girlies where in the vlog you're gonna find out like the designer outfit I wear to go shopping or get makeup tips. I love those videos, by the way. What you're gonna get from me is I drop random gems in my weekly vlog. So you get a little insight into my day-to-day life, but you also get random gems. Like sometimes in there I talk about how I stay productive. I share some of my productivity tips. Sometimes I share something that I learned from a finance perspective, or some of the investment things that I'm learning, or I talk about moving my career forward and all kinds of stuff. I talk about travel hacks, all kinds of stuff. So hopefully it's slightly entertaining, but also hopefully you are getting random gems that I drop on a regular basis in the vlogs. All that to say, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, turn on alerts so that you get notified when I post new videos and new content. In the meantime, let's talk about what you came here to talk about, which is the best freelancing jobs for entry-level or low-skill folks. I'm gonna say beginners. Let's just say beginners, because I don't like entry-level. I don't like the connotation of entry-level and low-skill. Let's just say for beginners. I'm gonna get right into it, and I'm gonna say customer service or customer support. And I know, I already know somebody turned up their nose. I know somebody turned up their nose when I say customer service, because I've done customer service before. I used to work in customer service. That's actually how I started working remotely. I started working remotely doing customer service. And it's not an easy job. People don't call customer service to praise or talk about how great the company is. People usually call customer service because there's a problem. But the reason I call this out as a great freelancing opportunity is because a lot of companies are looking for people to do email or chat support. And that's something that you can do as a freelancer. There's a lot of small businesses who don't have great customer service. And so as a freelancer, you could reach out and say, hey, I'm going to set up your chat support or set up your customer support. I'm going to manage your email support inbox and things like that. I honestly, this is something that I wish my daughter would do. I wish my daughter would learn how to use a tool like Freshdesk, which is completely free. You can go and learn how to use it. They have paid versions. And then reach out to small business owners and set up their email support system where using Freshdesk, which means that everything gets a ticket. So when customers email your customer support, they immediately get a ticket. It gets assigned to somebody. You can set up canned emails where if there's certain keywords in their message, they automatically get an email with instructions. Like if the word cancel is in their email, they automatically get instructions on how to cancel their account or cancel an order or something like that. If the word refund is in there, they automatically get an email that breaks down your refund policy. I think that this is really a great skill for people who are fresh out of college, fresh out of high school, people who are beginners in freelancing. You can do chat support, you can do email support, you can do customer service. One of the things I suggest you do is like go on Fiverr and see what people are getting paid to do in the customer service category. So thing one, customer service. Thing two, and this one's very popular, is being an administrative assistant. So many people need good virtual assistants. And I would like to underline the word good virtual assistants, because there's a lot of virtual assistants out there, but there aren't as many good ones. And so virtual assistant is something that you can do. It's entry level work. A lot of times virtual assistants are doing administrative tasks for people, for companies, for small businesses, for freelancers, for contractors, whatever the case may be. For instance, if I'm an attorney or I'm a therapist and I run my own therapy business, I might need a virtual assistant to manage my calendar, to manage my inbox, to, do a number of things for me. And being a virtual assistant, the barrier to entry is pretty low. Like, as long as you know how to use Google, emails, Google Sheets, and a lot of things you can teach yourself how to do as well. So I think virtual assistant is a great opportunity for people to break into being a freelancer, because there's a lot there that you can do. You can say, I'm a virtual assistant and I'm going to focus on managing someone's calendar. I'm going to focus on managing calendar. I'm going to focus on general administrative tasks. This is one is, again, very, very popular. Therefore, it's also can be a bit competitive. I know a lot of people think, well, I don't want to be competing with someone that is in, Lithuania, making $5 an hour, charging $5 an hour as a virtual assistant. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of us small business owners hire virtual assistants via word of mouth. And so if you can get that one good client who's going to share a testimonial or tell other people about you, that might be the way that you build your clientele. And there's also websites that you can use to build your clientele as well. But administrative assistant is a really great way to start freelancing. And then as you get into it, you can say, well, I'm going to specialize in this particular thing, right? So that is one way. Number 3 is social media management. I feel like I'm not saying anything surprising right now. But sometimes you have to hear something that you've heard multiple times for it to really stick with you, right? Or you might have to hear it from the right person or at the right time or in the right way. And I hope that some of these things that I'm sharing with you it's the right time, the right person, the right message in the right way, and that it creates that spark that says that, you know what, I think I can freelance, okay? So social media management is the third one. And here's what's cool about social media management. It's sort of a bucket, right? It's a very general bucket. And there's so many things that you can do as a social media manager. Social media management can mean anything from strategy, right? Which is, I'm going to define how we show up as an organization that speaks to our brand, our vision, our voice, and things like that. I'm going to decide what platforms we should invest our time in, and how we show up on each of these platforms. So for instance, if I had a social media manager that was focusing on strategy, you might tell me, well, Libria, you talk about remote work, you talk about travel, you talk about productivity, and then you just talk about random stuff, right? You talk about random stuff. And so my social media strategist may say, well, I want to focus TikTok specifically for travel. Or they may say, TikTok is kind of a messy place. Like, anything goes in TikTok world, so why don't you do all of your random stuff on TikTok? Anything random that you want to share, if you just want to be silly on the internet, do that on TikTok. And on Instagram, people already know you for travel and remote work, so maybe you focus on those two things on Instagram. And then on YouTube, maybe you focus more on productivity and remote work. And then maybe on LinkedIn, you focus on remote work solely, right? Because that is the market that LinkedIn is for. And so a social media strategist may define what those things are and strategize what types of content we actually do on all those platforms as well. That's the kind of stuff a social media strategist would do. Then you also have the social media content creators. Social media content creators are the ones that are actually editing or creating content. They may actually, either the strategist or the content manager may say, I'm gonna go out and watch videos and pull together ideas for content for your channels. Then you also have people who edit and create the content. And then you also have people who do the scheduling of content, right? So, and these may be 3 different people. It may be one person doing all 3 of these things. All I'm saying is that there are a plethora of options for you under the umbrella of social media management. Somebody may also do social media engagement, where y'all know my DMs are trash. So I may have a social media engagement manager who actually goes in to my DMs, to my unread messages, actually respond to people who have been asking me questions in my DMs, or that person may create automations so that when people respond, they actually get a message. A social media engagement manager may also go and comment on posts and things like that to increase engagement and respond to people who are commenting on posts. They may also go in and engage with other people that are in your area, in your industry, or engage with your followers to help build that sense of community on your social media. So all that to say, I feel like I went in on social media. All that to say, there are numerous versions of social media management. Make it an interesting one to get into because you can decide I'm going to do all these things, or you can decide I'm going to focus in on this specific area of social media management. Okay, and along the same lines is community management. So community management is another really, really good one. And it's one that's becoming more in demand as business owners are building communities. Everybody realizes that a big part of building a brand and building a business is building a community. And so there are all these apps and tools, Facebook groups, Mighty Networks, Circle, many ways that people are trying to build community. And a lot of times they need community managers to help them manage those communities. Let me give you an example. My community, the Quick Commuting Academy, and even in my community, Wandering Moms, which is for mothers who literally want to give their children the world. We had community managers in there, and we had a community manager in the Quick Commuting Academy who would do a number of things. One, when new people would come in and introduce themselves, they would make sure that that someone replied to that person's introduction and said, "Welcome to the community." Where, if they said, "Hey, my name is such and such, I live in this city and I'm looking for remote jobs in healthcare," my community manager would make sure that person felt welcome to the community. They would respond and say, "Welcome to the Quick Commuting Academy. We hope you find the resources here." They may tag them in a resource based on something that they said. They may say, "Hey, there's a video in here on this topic, go look at it." Or they may tag someone else that, "Hey, this person is looking in healthcare as well." But they would engage with people in the community. That person would also, on a regular basis, post content in the community that sparked engagement and discussion. So she may put something in the community on Wednesday, like, "Hey, today's Wednesday, WINSDAY," and say, "Hey, share a win in the community today. Share your win for the week today." Or she may find a article that's relevant, that's going to spark some discussion. Like, for instance, some company was offering for people to pay to stay at a hotel near the office. So she posted that and started talking about, "Hey, do you guys think this is a good idea?" So community managers help build engagement in the community as well. So that's an option also. Number 5 is data entry. There are actually a lot of postings on Upwork, which is a freelancing site for people looking for folks in data entry. You would think it's antiquated given where we are today, but there's a lot of reasons people are looking for data entry. So if you can type and you've got a computer, data entry might be one you should focus on. Number 6 is Google Business Services. I actually just stumbled upon this the other day. It's a pretty cool way to make money. I actually saw this woman's video on Google Business Services the other day and sent it to my daughter and was like, "This is probably a good way to make money." So Google Business Services is really you helping small businesses set up their business in Google Business Services so it's easier for clients to find them, so it's easier for customers to find them. So whenever you Google a business, typically you'll see their hours, you'll see their phone number, you'll see their website, you'll see their location, and you'll see reviews. Well, that's not the case for every business. Someone had to go and do that. Google just didn't do that on their own. And there is a lot of small businesses, mom and pop shops, that don't have that set up. And so it makes it a lot more difficult for people to find them on Google. The person who provides Google Business Services, you would help them set that stuff up. So you reach out to those companies and help them set that up. I'm gonna post a link to that video in the description box if you wanna dig into that a little bit, because I think it's a cool way to make money. Number 7 is blog writing. And I know a lot of y'all are like, doesn't AI do that now? Here's the thing. The A in AI stands for artificial. It's not human. And I have a blog, I have a lot of friends who have blogs. I guarantee you, none of us wants to take something AI wrote and drop it into our blog. You still have to do some of the work. You still have to tweak what AI says. You still have to change things up. You still want to massage that blog and make it speak to your audience in the way that you truly want to speak to your audience. And that takes time. And so if you are a person who is really good at adjusting your writing style to meet the voice of a blog post or of a person, blog writing is actually an option. It's still a viable option. option. And apply that to any other kind of writing, right? So ghostwriting for books and things like that. So I said blog writing, but I'm just gonna throw copywriting in a whole bucket right there. And again, I know that people think, well, AI is doing that now, nobody needs that. I'm telling you, AI does not do everything. It just doesn't. Number 8 is podcast management. I know y'all have seen everybody has a podcast these days. Everybody has a podcast these days. And a lot of people who are building their podcasts or in the growth phase of their podcast, or their podcast has already grown to be pretty large, they need help managing that podcast. What do I mean by that? Well, there's multiple dimensions of podcast management. There is the sourcing guests and making sure that the guests know exactly when to be, where to be, when to be there, and all of that stuff. So a podcast owner or podcast host might need some help finding people to be on their podcast, right? Because you've got to pitch to them why they should be on the podcast. You got to invite them. Then you've got to organize the time frame that they're going to show up, and then you got to do all this other stuff. I mean, there's things that have to happen in order to have that podcast guest on the show. So that's one aspect. Another aspect could be just managing the actual technical logistics behind the podcast. Because once a podcast is recorded, that's not the end of it. It has to be edited. The sound has to be perfected. There's some production work that needs to be done. It needs to be posted and sent to multiple platforms. And then the podcast recap or write-up needs to be put up there. Then there's the podcast social media part that needs to be managed. There's a lot of logistics behind that as well. So helping people manage their podcast is absolutely another freelancing opportunity. Actually, my friend Hannah Dixon has a course on being a podcast manager as a virtual assistant, and I'll drop a link to that in the description box as well. Number 9 is video editing. I actually know quite a few virtual video editors, and they make good money because video editing is not easy. It's a lot of work to take hours and hours of content and distill it down into 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or even 1 minute. And so a lot of us right here on YouTube, a lot of us either can't or don't want to edit our own videos. I'm still editing my own videos, but trust me, I am hoping to get to the point where I can pass that off to someone else to do, where I just record these videos and then someone else goes and pieces it together and makes it really cool, puts those cool transitions in, puts those cool little pop-ups on the screen, and make sure the captions look good, all that kind of stuff. So video editing is something that you can, I think, easily learn how to do. All of your favorite YouTubers started out editing their own videos, and it's not like they went to school for film. And trust me, like if you're starting out doing content, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of us taught ourselves how to edit our videos. So this is something that you can learn to do pretty quickly as well. I used to use Adobe Premiere, which I taught myself how to do. It is challenging though. Like it's not the easiest thing to use, but it's something that you can teach yourself to do. And there's videos right here on YouTube that teach you how to do it. But I more recently moved to CapCut because I think it's even more user-friendly and easy to use. So again, if I can teach myself how to do this, trust me, you can too. So video editing is another great freelancing opportunity for beginners. And then another one is content research. Content research is actually, I think, a really good one as well for freelancers because it doesn't necessarily require you to have specific knowledge or specific industry knowledge. The only real requirements are that you are really good at researching, you know how to use the internet, and you're curious, right? So if I were paying someone to do content research for myself, what I'd be looking for them to do is things like if I'm trying to lean more into my YouTube content, I would be looking for someone to do keyword searches. I would say, well, these are kind of the topics I'm thinking about for the next quarter or the next month. And they would do keyword searches to tell me, well, what keywords should I focus on or what topics I should focus on. Another aspect of what they could do is look at my competitors and see what other people are posting, what videos and topics have done really well, and pull out, well, these are the topics that we've seen do really well. These are the topics that have a lot of people are searching for, but there's not a lot of content for. And so this would do really, really well. Like you'd show up at the top of the list if you did these. And these are the tags and keywords you should have in it. And then they could take it a step further and do the actual research about that topic and pull up the talking points that you should have. For instance, this video right here, if I told my content manager or my content researcher that I want to do content around freelancing, they could say, well, a very popular video is what are the best freelancing jobs to do as a beginner. They would make that list, and then they could go in and say, well, I put together an outline. I watched a few videos, I did some Google searches, and here's an outline of the things that you should call out in this video, right? So you could do that for YouTube, you could do that for blogging, you could even do that for Instagram. I think a great content researcher on Instagram could go through and say, hey, Libria, you do a lot of remote work content. I found these trends, these trending videos, these trending video ideas that I think you could apply to remote work. And I've saved them off, and here's the audios, here's the videos, go make that content. So that said, I think Content Researcher presents a great opportunity for beginners to move into freelancing without having to have a whole lot of specific skills. Okay, that's 10, and I'm gonna be honest, that's just a few. There are so many ways to make money as a freelancer, literally so many ways to make money as a freelancer, but I just wanted to share a quick 10 that didn't require a whole lot of experience, a whole lot of technical skills and technical knowledge, so that we can get past the barrier of thinking I don't have enough skills to be a freelancer. And the good thing about freelancing is you can do it part-time. So if you just need to make extra money, these are some of the things that you can do to make extra money, all right? That said, do me a favor, drop a note in the comments and let me know which of the 10 sound interesting to you to do as a freelancer. I feel like I already said the one that was interesting to me. If it were me, I would probably do customer service and customer support, just because I used to work in customer service and I can easily set up customer service inboxes and I can set up canned emails and stuff like that. That's probably would be the one that I would lean into. The second one that I would lean into personally is community management. Like if I wanted to make extra money tomorrow doing one of these things, I'd probably do community management because I built communities. I've built 3 communities now. And so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on how to build community engagement and things like that. So that's what I would do. But what would you do? Let me know in the comments, and then do me a favor, go ahead and like this video. Before I go, I just want to remind you that in the Quit Commuting Academy, the whole month of November, we are talking about freelancing. So if you're not in the Quit Commuting Academy, please go ahead and join. I will drop a link in the description box so that you can get there. You can go to quitcommuting.com/community to join us. And I will see you guys in the next video.